People think I'm kidding when I tell them I hate this dog and I go on these rants. I'm being honest. Like, there's bad days, really bad days. Today's one of those days where he's driving me nuts. Waking up at 3 a.m. to take him out, and then I'm up by 6 o'clock to take him out again and start my day. But I was having this conversation with Jay. I was just having a bad day, and he sent me a voice text message, and he made me pull over on the side of the road. Like, the shit that he said to me, like, he explained to me why I couldn't let it go. Like everything he does, he's like Dalai Lama, right? I can make a living just off of German Shepherds. Like, I didn't want to drive all the way up here to do it, but because of the situation, I said, we kind of have to, because I have to set a safe scenario, and I have to allow this dog to show me who he really is. We're not going to restrain him. We're not muzzling the dog. We're not leashing the dog. I'm going to be in my yard in a bite suit, and we're going to see who the dog really is. They decided to put the dog down before they came here. It ruined my day. Because if you're going to make money from people and charge a fortune from people and travel the world doing seminars, you better show some damn work with the live breathing animal. Show the work with the subject that you're talking about. But people want to jump to using that tool, and they can't train a dog how to sit with a piece of food. But yet you want to use electronics. That's the problem.
So look, this is going to be a fun one. I promise you guys, this is going to be a fun one. This is one you'll want to stay through till the end. And my hunch is it will kind of open up as we go. Preparing the intro. So I have Larry Krohn, esteemed trainer. Most of you guys watching this, you searched it in Google. You came directly here for a reason, because you've probably watched a lot of his other content. But like preparing the intro, I was like, there's a million ways to go with this, right? So one, decades of experience, tons of success. Every young trainer I speak to, they talk about a seminar they've been to that Larry put on and how much he's positively impacted their life, their career. So we could go that route. Go the other route of every female dog he trains, he calls mama. We could just open it up and have some fun that way. But I'll tell you guys how I discovered Larry. So I got a dog. I was training my dog, whatever. But then clients started paying me. And I took that serious, right? Because when people pay you money and they bring their dog to you, whether we like it or not, they still think of it as kind of like their kid. So I was like, I have a big responsibility in my hands, and these people are giving me money. They're trusting me. I need to get them results. So I started searching the internet, like, who can I learn from? Who can point me in the right direction? And this podcast is called Doggie Stoic because I think wisdom is kind of distilled knowledge. It's filtered through experience. And I discovered Larry, who speaks a lot about, structure, rules, clarity inside the house, less about flashy heels and just how you live with the dogs, raising really well-behaved dogs. So I discovered Larry and my life changed. My career changed as a dog trainer, and I wanted to bring him on here for a while. So I'm really, really, really lucky to have him. I'm really lucky to share this podcast with my audience. Larry, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that, Andrew. Very, very humbling to hear that. I appreciate it.
Well, he's funny. Humbling. I bought the hour course. I bought the hour phone session with you. We had one session, and then Larry is a humble guy, but he's also honest. Like, if you ever go to a seminar, like, he's an honest guy. And he said, after the first session, he said, dude, you got to come to a seminar. I said, Larry, my business is doing so well. I can't leave my business. He's like, dude, if you are really serious about this, you got to come to the seminar. You got to learn. You got to see in person. One, you got to learn from Jay, and you got to make the time. And I was thrown back a little bit. I was like, but business is good. I'm kind of nervous to like travel 13, 14 hours to Nashville. What will I do? But you made it clear that if it's a priority for you to learn, you should travel. And I did. And it was an amazing decision. I was there October 13th, just like 2 months ago or so.
Yeah.
And you were right. It's different when it's in person. So you're humble, but you're honest. And like in today's world where everything is kind of like short clips and, 5 tips to get your dog to stop pulling on a leash, I think having mentors, teachers like you who at the end of the seminar, you're like, I'm still learning, right?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, big time.
Talk to me. So today's podcast, it's going to be kind of 3 sections, right?
Sure.
It's going to be, I want to talk about your puppy, Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is like, I like the saying, like we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught.
Oh,
And
God.
that's fresh for you, right? Like that is something that you're going through now. So there's a lot of Larry content out there about a variety of topics. You show everything. We'll talk about your YouTube journey, but like Frankie, you're raising him kind of from scratch right now. What's top of mind? What can someone who's listening, who's a dog trainer for 2, 3, 4 years, learn from your experience of raising this puppy?
Oh, man. After doing this as long as I have, I mean, everyone says this, you know what I mean? You hear the same stuff. You learn from every dog, but I really do, because I know with each dog what I wish I would have done different, As far as raising dogs, I think that's probably the only thing that I'm pretty good at. I think I'm okay at a lot of stuff in dog training. I think maybe the only thing that I feel I'm pretty good at, I do raise really good dogs, and that's why I'm able to have a lot of powerful, high drive, intact dogs altogether. With Frankie, I'm doing the same thing I do with all dogs, but when it comes to the sports stuff, the IGP stuff, I'm taking it a lot more serious right from the start, because I want to challenge myself, and he has a lot of potential, and I'm just using him just like I used Dante to kind of learn the sport. We were learning together. Dante was a dog that matured very slowly, and so I recognized that from the start, and I never pushed things. With Frankie, I could do a lot more right from the beginning. And that doesn't mean Frankie's better than Dante in any way, just different, you know what I mean? But I think it takes a long time and experience to recognize those differences. So I think people think I'm kidding when I tell them I hate this dog and I go on these rants. I'm being honest. Like, there's bad days, like there's really bad days. It's been a lot better. As of the past couple of weeks, he's really leveled off and doing well. But like today's one of those days where he's driving me nuts. I'm kind of glad this isn't live, because if I hear him screaming, I might have to go let him out to poop. And just as I say that, he starts barking, right?
We could edit things out in post-production.
Yeah.
So don't even worry. I have a pause function here. Don't. So let it out then. What's so annoying? He's a puppy. Like what's so frustrating?
He's a lot. Like, it's not like a regular puppy. It's not even like a Rottweiler puppy. I've raised Rottweilers. I've raised Shepherds. Like, when he decides he's going to start barking, it's loud and it doesn't stop. There are no breaks. It's nonstop. He will drive you absolutely crazy. I'm 54 years old. I'll be 54 in another month. And I'm still waking up at 3 a.m. to take him out. And then I'm up by 6 o'clock to take him out again and start my day. Those are things that people forget. They see all the cute things. They see me training with him and having a good time with him. They see the times I love him, but you don't see a lot of the times where I hate him with all my heart, because to put a puppy in an outdoor pen and just let him scream it out and pee and poop in the pen, I wish I could. I can't do it. So that means, my wife warned me, when deer season gets here, that's all I do. Well, I've altered my deer season for the first time in 43 years, because once I got him, I couldn't do what I normally do. I couldn't go hunting at 4 a.m. because it's morning, and I can't do that to my family. I can't just leave and let them fend for him, because he is a lot, you know what I mean? And so you don't see all the things behind the scenes that are very, very difficult if you're going to do it right. Listen, if a puppy screaming and barking and peeing and pooping in their crate don't bother you, and somehow a lot of people are okay with that, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I've had this dog shit and piss in his crate too many times to count. And I'm not someone that lets their dog go a long time in the crate. I'm obsessive about getting them out. You know what I mean? He's a puppy that you could take out, be out there for 20, 30 minutes with him. He'll come in and shit and pee in the crate. It's been better.
Wow.
It's been much better.
What do you think it is? Why do you think that is? Because I've had dogs do that, and it's typically Frenchies that do that.
Yeah, he just doesn't care. He doesn't bother him. And he gets so distracted when he goes out, it's not a priority, you know. Now, with that being said, there's times like for example, I get him out today, he doesn't do anything, and then thanks, babe, my wife's taking him out. And then I leave to go to the gym. And as I'm backing out of my garage, he's screaming. But I know, okay, he has to go now. And I get out of my truck, I go, and he poops real quick, and I put him away. So there's good things too. He does try to communicate, you know what I mean? But it's not the end of the world to him if he pees or shits in his crate. I tell you what, I sent him back to my breeder for a week and a half a couple of weeks ago. So my brother came in from New Jersey so we could do some hunting together. So I can't hunt with him here. So my breeder is a good friend of mine, and he takes him back for me, and he held him for a week and a half. I picked him up and I missed him. I really did. As much as it sucks at times, I was going through withdrawals. So I picked him up a little sooner than I wanted to or I expected to. I put him in the truck. I'm driving home. I am literally 2 blocks from my house, and I smell it. And he shit in the crate so bad. It was horrible. I've never had a dog do that before. And I know people are saying, well, you're full of shit. You haven't dealt with many dogs. No, because if I think a dog even whimpers because I'm pulling over and I'm taking care of it. You know what I mean? Sure. And so at that time, that was a low point because I was like, I hate this dog. What did I do? I ruined my life by getting this puppy. But that's just me. I'm going to bitch and complain about things, you know?
Well, when you're around enough dogs, you know dogs that are like getting it and they're moving forward and
Sure.
they're like figuring it out versus dogs that like you're just like, dude, this guy's not getting it at all.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're not moving forward. Do you think is it a mal thing? Is it just a random thing?
I'm not going to claim to be I've had 3 Malinois. I'm not, so I never claimed to be an expert on something just because I had 3 dogs. 2 of my Malinois were the same way. This one and my first male were the same way. Like he had no problem shitting in the crate. And I hated him. I hated him. And it's funny, Andrew, because it's almost like there's a give and take. When you have a dog with so much good, it's almost like they have to give you so much bad just to keep you in check. You know what I mean? And so you deal with it. And then I know that'll all be gone soon. It won't go on forever. And it's way better than it was. Don't get me wrong. Like he's not having accidents every day. But again, that's something that I'm obsessive with. And he doesn't stay in his crate for very long at a time. You know what I mean? It's every couple of hours we're out doing things. So I give him plenty of opportunities. It's just that, I took him out right before I got on with you again. But guess what? A leaf blew through the yard. So he's like, oh, that's what we're doing now. I'm going to chase this leaf for a while and then chew on it and play with it. And I'm like, okay, that's it. He's not going to go now. So now he was screaming and my wife just took him out. So hopefully he poops for her.
How old is he now?
He's 15 weeks, I think.
So going on 4 months almost.
Yeah, he's a baby. He's still a baby. August 12th, he was born.
Larry, Can you explain something to me? So I had this question because I was gonna ask on one of your posts, but I was waiting to. Why no leash? So like I'm a no leash guy. I even got criticism at Dylan's seminar for no leash. So I love the no leash, but like how do you? I know markers. You'll probably say markers are so tight. Like no leash puppy, and like what if you need to not correct him but guide him? You walk with him no leash around your neighborhood.
Oh yeah, because at that age you're everything. It's easy, and so for me, I always start my puppies off like that. Now I do go to a leash a little quicker than I normally did, so I do it both ways. So before, I've always started my puppies off with no leash because being off leash for my dogs has never been a novelty. It's normal. And I think where a lot of people screw up, they put that puppy on a leash from day one, every place, every single second, even just outside their home. And then the first time the puppy gets outside without a leash, it's usually by accident. And then it's like, whoa, I could run around. That freedom becomes a novelty. Now, where that's bitten me in the ass before is when I started doing a lot of traveling with my dogs for seminars and stuff. I remember the first time I was traveling and I put the dog on a leash, take him out at a rest stop or something. There was no going to the bathroom. The dog was like, what am I supposed to do now? You know what I mean? And it was really a pain in the ass. So now, even though they're off leash most of the time, I also do introduce the leash pretty quick just for that purpose.
Can I clarify,
everything is covered.
Sure, but can I clarify? Why no long line? Like just like a drag line?
Because it's not off leash. There's no comparison.
Explain.
You know what I mean? A dog knows when it's on a leash, whether it's a long line or not. You know, so I'm all for long lines and getting dogs off leash that have never been off leash, right? But when you put a puppy on leash, it's different. It's not the same. And him, if you watch me walk him, he's going to have the leash in his mouth and he's going to be tugging and playing and he's proud of himself, you know? So for me, it's just very, very different, you know? But again, I did put the leash on him really, really quick. I think the first dog I went quickly to a leash is Benny, our little 6-pound long-haired Chihuahua, because after 2 weeks of having him, we planned a trip to New York just for a long weekend, me and the family, and he was coming with us. So now I have to take this little Chihuahua puppy who at that time was 1.5 pounds, you know, 2 pounds, and he's going from being off leash in a fairly quiet area with a lot of grass to now he's going to have to walk down the streets in Manhattan and pee and poop on a leash. So I can't remember if it was a week before or 2 weeks before our trip, I introduced him to a retractable leash and I started getting him used to that. So of course, when I took him out, he didn't go to the bathroom because he's like, this thing is attached to me. Well, when he didn't go to the bathroom, I don't take him off so he can go to the bathroom. I bring him back in, put him away. Give him half hour to an hour, take him out again on the leash. No, this thing's on me. I can't go. Till eventually he has no choice. He has to go so bad. He goes on the leash and he goes, oh shit. Okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's the same almost, you know? So that's just the way I do things.
So I'm not a sport dog trainer, but I'm curious. And I think I know the answer, but I don't want to assume. Why do you want to do IGP now?
You know, I've always loved it. I've always watched it. And a lot of the people that I've learned from, I've had massive success in that world. And so I'm not going to say I was the first guy, but I'm one of the first pet dog trainers I remember that really pushed pet dog people to learn from the sport dog people. That's going back 15, 16, 17 years ago, whatever it was. Because I think when you train that way, there's massive benefits to it, right? So I've been training all the dogs I get as if they were sport dogs, as much as I can anyway, because I think it's really important to train dogs like that, because that's more about bringing the best out of the dog, as where the pet dog world is about more of shutting things down. And that's just not my way, you know? So when I retired from my government job, I had a little more time on my hands now, and I wanted to challenge myself a little bit. I'm a little old to start something like that, but I just wanted to do it to enjoy the process with my dog. And Dante was that dog. And I was enjoying the process very much, you know, and then the accident happened with him and that put things on hold. But the one thing that starting with Dante that really opened me up was tracking. I stayed away from the sport at times because I had no interest in tracking. To me, I hated it. I didn't have any interest in it, you know, and you got to think about it. Like, how do you hate something you never tried? But when you don't know about something, you know, you're not knowledgeable about something, it's easy to hate it. And so that was a big learning curve for me. And so I was learning from some very good people online, getting coached online, but it wasn't, and I learned a lot that way from some very good people. But it wasn't until actually almost exactly a year ago, it was last December, that I went down to Florida with Dante to work with Fabian Robinson and Gina down at their place. Spent 5 days down there doing protection and tracking, but it was mostly for the tracking. And man, I fell in love with it deeply because I learned so much from Fabian. Like, he's so knowledgeable, and I just really appreciate the way his head works in training. So literally today, I just sent him a video of me tracking with Frankie today. Just sent it earlier to be scrutinized and criticized and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I'm very coachable and I want you to tell me what am I doing right and what do I need to change. But Dante was tracking pretty well into it, and then his tracking started backsliding, and I knew it was something I was doing. And so when I went down and started working with Fabian, it was literally the first 30 minutes I was there of him speaking. I knew every place I screwed up. I knew everything I did wrong. And so I know you asked me, like, what made you want to do the sport? And I'm focused on tracking now. But it's that ability to learn something brand new that will benefit all of my dog training. Not just me tracking my dogs. It's going to make me better at teaching the people that I work with in all aspects of dog training. And that's why I push young trainers to go learn from these people and pick something, if you can. I have videos out there of me doing sport dog stuff with my dogs. And I'll tell you in the video, I've never intended on doing sports with Luca, let's say, but I train him as if I was doing IGP with him, because I get to train high level stuff that benefits me, it benefits him, and it benefits the people that get me watch the way I break things down to teach these behaviors. Whether you like the way I do it or not, at least you get to see the process. You know what I mean?
So if you guys are thinking you need a vacation, so the way I found out about Fabian was about like a month, maybe a month and a half after the seminar. Larry said, if you're in Florida or you want to learn tracking, you got to get to Palm City and learn from Fabian.
Yeah.
So I live an hour away from Fabian.
Oh, wow. Nice.
That same day I reached out to Gina. She called me, signed up. So I'm going up there December 12th through 14th. So this episode will be out before December 12th. So if you guys want to take a trip, you want to meet me, you want to have some fun, come to Palm City. There's nothing better than Florida in the winter. But two, I actually had Fabian on the show as a result.
Nice. I actually was supposed to go to that. I was supposed to be there with you, but I have some medical things I got to take care of during that time.
You have a puppy. Well, you were going to bring him with you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was coming to track with him. Yeah, absolutely.
You were going to drive?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I drive everywhere. I don't fly.
I hate flying.
Yeah, me too. I drive everywhere. I love it. I love road trips.
Is it because you're a control freak?
That's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, massive control freak, man. Yes.
I feel like K9 Jets has to reach out to you, Larry. Like, have you heard of K9 Jets?
No.
I think it's I don't know how exactly it works, but they have all these Instagram ads of like flying private with your dogs.
Oh, wow. I still wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do? You wouldn't go private?
No.
Wow.
No. I want to be in my truck, listening to what I want to listen to with my road snacks sitting next to me. I enjoy my stops with my dog and hanging out with them. And I like everything about it. I drove to Boston, which was 17 hours each way. I'll probably drive to Portland next year for a seminar, which is a few days of driving. I just don't like the hassle of flying. And I like having my dog, and I don't do the bullshit of taking my dog on a plane as a service dog. I don't play those games. I like being able to take all my stuff with me. I just like the convenience.
What are your go-to snacks, go-to listen, and who's the best dog for the trips?
Oh, all my dogs travel well, but like I've done a lot of traveling with Dante, and he loves it. He's a great traveler. Still to this day, it breaks my heart because when I pull out, he's screaming. He just wants to go with me. Like he really, really likes it. You know what I mean? Like he really does. And so I'm getting a new vehicle soon. I might be able to fit both of them in. So maybe I'll start taking Dante and Frankie. I don't know. We'll see.
If they have self-driving Teslas, would you sign up for it?
No.
You're insane, dude. You're funny. Larry's so funny.
No. I have people tell me, like, you know what? Maybe I'll make the trip. I'll drive with you so you're not alone. Like, no, dude. I want to be alone. I like being alone.
One of the things, so you're hearing here, it means 20 minutes in, you're hearing like, okay, the guy's been in this industry 25 years, made
28.
YouTube video, 28.
Yeah.
YouTube videos, people say like, you've changed my life. You've helped me so much. Thank you for the tips. I've implemented them. So clearly esteemed, reputation, knows what he's talking about, but yet still humble enough to go to seminars, to learn, to put in the time. But one thing that I learned from you that really, really helped me, I don't even want to say I learned it from you. It was kind of like a permission thing. So when I was living the habits that, a good trainer would, dotting my T's, dotting my I's, crossing my T's, like really improving. One thing I noticed from you is you're not mean to clients, but you're very sincere and honest with them.
Yeah.
And I think the permission for young trainers, because sometimes you don't want to hurt clients' feelings, right? And sometimes you even want to like, oh, just give me the leash. Let me show you. Let me do it for you. That was always my issue. And then watching you at the seminar and seeing how you interact with clients, with the guests, they see you care, but you're very sincere and honest with them.
Sure.
Where does that come from?
You have to be. You have to be. Like you can't just tell people what they want to hear. Like people are counting on you. They're paying you, and we're not dealing with a car or a mechanical object. We're dealing with a living, breathing, emotional creature. And when we fail, like that animal suffers. And with that being said, over the past year or two, there have been times where I haven't been proud the way I interacted with people. And that comes from getting very frustrated with the whole dog world, the whole dog industry, and getting frustrated with people's irresponsibility. Like I have a real issue with people getting a dog, screwing it up, which is okay. Everybody does it. But then getting another dog, screwing that up, and now you have problems and you don't have the ability to change. And you want to make excuses and you want to blame everybody else. And you want to tell me how you're pissed at me because I insulted you. Like I have a problem with that, because you're telling me that your feelings are more important than your animal's well-being. And so in the past year or two, there have been people that like after a seminar, I've literally called up and apologized to them. Like I'll go back and watch the video and I'll be like, you know what? I was way too hard on you and I was wrong. And most people say, no, I understand why you're doing it. I say, no, I could have approached you in a different way. I was wrong. So when I'm wrong, I will always apologize. But the people that every now and then will really get on me and basically tell me to go fuck myself, I'm an asshole, they're usually the people that I don't want to deal with. Like I don't want to deal with. Like it wasn't too long ago where I walked into a seminar, I saw someone that I knew was going to be a problem, and I said to Jay or Joel, like, I don't want to deal with this. And it went bad. It didn't go well because I understand the person's personality and their skill level and their ability to do what needs to be done. And they're not going to change. I know because I've
Why
tried.
did they go to the seminar?
Entertainment. I think the same reason most people go to seminars, entertainment. They might not think they're going for entertainment, but it's probably the biggest reason why most people do not ever change after working with some really great people. I've seen it forever. I've watched people go train with the best of the best, and I know what kind of work these people are putting out there. And you could talk to the person that was there learning, they'd be like, life-changing, amazing, but they can't obtain it. They can't retain it. They can't utilize it. So if you remember, one of the things I tell people right up front is my goal is that every person in that room, I can give you something that will actually help you be better as soon as you walk out this door. Like no bullshit, no sugarcoating things, just something that could be beneficial to you that you could utilize instead of just being entertained, because that's what most people do.
So without, yeah, I was not going to mention this person's name. So you walk in the room, this person's going to be there. They've already been at other seminars of yours.
Yeah.
What's like the issue they're having with the dog? What's the mindset that they come in, and what are they looking for you? Do they have a working spot with you?
Sometimes no, right? People usually bounce back and forth between me and Jay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And listen, it's a lot of times they're good people. They have no bad intentions, but there are people out there that no matter how hard they try, they don't have the ability to understand and the physical and mental capability of connecting with that animal. It's not there. No matter what you do, it's the same way you could send me to any kind of trade school for 6 months, and you send me to a mechanic school for 6 months. 6 months later, I promise you, you still do not want me working on your car. I don't have that gene. It's not there. I'm the least handiest guy you'll ever meet in your life. It is, I went my freshman year, I decided to go to a vocational high school to try to learn how to do stuff. One of the first courses I had was auto mechanics. It took about 2 weeks before I was banned from touching anything. Like literally not allowed to leave my seat and touch anything. Like I don't have that gene. And there's people out there with their dogs that are the same way. They don't have it and they never will.
So push back on this.
Yeah.
Because you guys even gave this example. So like markers, we'll get into Jay's 4 windows. By the way, if you guys haven't gone to a seminar, Jay, Joel, and Larry is a perfect, like
it's fun.
It's a perfect crew. Like Joel, I mean, I want to do a work. Joel's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good time.
And Jay's one of the best teachers of humans I've ever seen. He should get more love.
Hands down. Well, I think he does now.
Okay.
He does now. Like when we started this whole thing, not enough people who knew who he was, because he doesn't put himself out there.
Sure.
And hands down, one of the best dog trainers you'll ever meet. Hands down, one of the best teachers, if not the best teacher.
And you guys always let him open?
Yeah, because his stuff, like
hilarious.
What I go into, feeds right off of his stuff. It all goes together, right?
Yep.
Because his markers thing, his Windows thing, I use the same thing, just not in the Windows way, although I've adopted a lot more of it because it's so beneficial for people, right? I just don't like taking other people's stuff and making like it's my own. But
so I was
one time Jay decided not to open the way he normally does, like the same format. And when it was my turn to go, I was screwed. I was like, dude, what the fuck? What do I do now? Like, you screwed everything up, because all of my stuff plays off of what he starts with. You know what I mean? Because listen, the use of the markers, the difference in negative reinforcement and punishment, which very few trainers ever understand. They think they do, but they don't, because once you do, it changes your life, right? And then the value of productive, useful play in behavior modification, which again, most trainers don't get, and that's why they poo-poo on it. Those things are things that we don't just talk about, but we show and demonstrate at these seminars, right? And if you remember, Andrew, you had that we had that big black German Shepherd that attacked that dog when I walked in the room, right?
Get control of your dogs, people.
That was a bad start, and that's never happened, right? But when I started handling that dog and we started putting that dog into doing things that it was meant to do, we saw a different animal. That was so valuable for people to see. You know what I mean? Because most people are going to do the same old bullshit that they do. They're going to string the dog up. They're going to fry him on the collar. They're going to whack him and they think they're doing something. You know, there's trainers that, I'm not going to lie to you. I went before we got on this podcast today. I was just having a shitty day, and I told, like, I'm just so over the dog world. Like, there's people out there that all they do is just throw out negative shit, bitch and complain about everything. They're training dogs 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, and they really think they know everything. You know, they think they know. When you hear someone say, this guy's the best dog trainer in the world, and you ain't trained with no one, you sound like an idiot. You insult all the best in the world that are out there. You know what I mean? Or you hear someone say, oh no, that dog right there, you don't ever play with that dog. That's a real dog. He needs to be shown who's boss. I know exactly who you are, and you should not be trained. Listen, there's trainers out there that do very well with a lot of dogs, help a lot of people. Like truly, I know trainers, some I'm friendly with, some I used to be friendly with, that help a lot of dogs and people. But there's certain dogs that are so far above their pay grade, they'll never admit it because they don't believe it. So they resort to extreme measures to try to deal with dogs like that because they don't have the knowledge and ability. And that's something right there. There will be certain people that watch that and will think I'm talking about them, which I probably am if you're thinking that. That will infuriate them, and they'll be on the phone texting their friends, what an asshole, this guy's a know-it-all. But I don't give a fuck at this point. I just really don't. You know, we show it over and over with really serious dogs. We show why we use bite suits and not muzzles. We show why we utilize play and not redirection, you know, doing all this other shit that people preach, you know. But you think after enough people are showing what could be done with really difficult dogs, listen, you either jump on board or you're going to be left behind. That's all there is to it.
So Larry, this was a point on my notes, but I kind of wanted to leave it at the end with like social media and the whole social media world, because you could go like intense balance trainers that like train with no freedom, I guess, like play sport treadmill to play sport to treadmill for behavior mod. Ridiculous. We'll call them like that one type. Then you have play, but then you have like purely positive. And I also see the infighting, but I don't care about it for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your because you can't train every dog in the world anyway.
Sure.
And you can't raise every kid in the world anyway. But you raised an awesome kid who's competitive, who plays basketball at a high level, who respects his elders, who shakes hands and has good sportsmanship after games. And if someone's a bad sport, like, okay, who cares? My son isn't, right?
Sure.
That's so like on my Instagram, all I care is my dogs are happy and my clients are happy. Right. I don't really care if the force-free person down the street, you know, takes the prong collar off in the car and shames the parents before bringing them into the facility. I don't know. Maybe I should. Why? Explain to me. And I think I know, but like, why does that bother some people?
You know, it's funny you say that, Andrew. A few weeks ago, I was just having a really bad day because me and Jay were talking, and I told him, I said, Jay, I don't know why I can't keep my fucking mouth shut. Like I try so hard. I don't want to get involved with this stuff, but it bothers me so much when I see the bullshit I do that sometimes I can't keep my mouth shut, and it never goes well. So I've lost a lot of people that I was friendly with over the past couple of years, sometimes just from disagreeing with them in a very respectful way. Dog trainers can't handle that. You know what I mean? I've lost friendships because having success with a dog that others couldn't put a lot of effort in. A lot of reasons. But I was having this conversation with Jay, like I was just having a bad day, and I was like, I was disappointed in myself that I can't ignore this stuff. Like, why can't I just ignore it? Like he does. He's real good about staying out of things. He sent me a message. It was a voicemail, a voice text message. And he made me pull over on the side of the road and go, this fucking guy is different. Like the shit that he said to me, like he explained to me why I couldn't let it go because of who I am, the type of person. I forgot what he called it, right? But it was brilliant. Like everything he does, he's got a different way of, he's like the fucking Dalai Lama, right?
Is it because you'll take all these arrows to change the one person behind you? Kind of to protect the one person behind you?
It's I guess something along the way. But the way I came home and I wanted to play it for my wife so bad, but I guess when you send a message like that, it disappears. It disappears. And I was like, son of a bitch. But he made me feel much better because he's the same way. He explained we're this type of person, and I'll have to go back and ask him about but it was brilliant. And it made me feel a little better because, listen, I don't want to be involved in the bullshit. I've done that for years. It gets you nowhere except heartache. You know what I mean? But it truly bothers me to see people spewing this shit that makes it so hard for the everyday dog owner to get the help they wanted. Listen, I was supposed to start a person today in private lessons with supposedly a very dangerous dog, a guardian breed that was going after people, and I was excited about it. You know what I mean? And they didn't want to drive all the way up here to do it, but because of the situation, I said we kind of have to, because I have to set a safe scenario and I have to allow this dog to show me who he really is. We're not going to restrain him. We're not muzzling the dog. We're not leashing the dog. I'm going to be in my yard in a bite suit, and we're going to see who the dog really is, you know? And they decided to put the dog down before they came here. It ruined my day. Ruined my day because you're taking advice from people that know nothing, and you're making this decision on yourself when this dog can go into certain situations and be fine. That tells me this dog is not that bad, you know? And you don't.
They're getting advice here. They're contacted Larry saying we're going to come out, but then
another trainer who was working with them, very admirable, said, "This is out of my league. I need you to go see him." Okay. Right? I always respect a trainer like that. And I know this person. But at least come up here and let me take a look. So I could tell you, because almost always the dog is never as bad as people think. You know what I mean? And in 28 years, I've recommended 3 dogs be euthanized. 3. And so the chance of me telling you, yeah, this dog needs to go is pretty slim.
What were those 3 dogs doing that like caught your attention?
They were massively violent towards the family. You know, not strangers, not dogs, in the home toward the family, and had been like really dangerous situations.
Three different breeds?
Yeah. Like really dangerous stuff. You know, and when the family's a danger, that's a whole different thing. And I saw a side of these dogs that was totally different for sure. It wouldn't have been, they weren't safe, and it wouldn't have been ethical to put these dogs in other homes. You know what I mean? And I remember the last one vividly, very well. As a matter of fact, I did a whole video on it. I went very deep into the whole situation with this particular dog, you know, because it's the side that we don't see a lot or talk about. And so I gave all the details about it to kind of let people know that are struggling with that, you know?
I guess that's a big deal too. Like a dog that might live with just like me would be different than a dog that lives with a family with a kid. It's way different.
Sure. Listen, I tell people, if you have a dog that wants to kill dogs, so what? You can keep that dog safe. If you have a dog that wants to kill people, so what? You don't have to take the dog in public. But when you have a dog that wants to harm the family, that's a whole different ball game, especially when there's kids involved, you know?
Larry, did you start with behavior mod, or did you start with just like more obedience? Or you?
Yeah, totally. I did no obedience for 10 years.
So people always brought you reactivity aggression from day one.
Yeah, pretty much from day one. Yeah. And that's because the way that happened, Andrew, is the first dog trainer that I learned from, that I started working with my own dog. He had the best behaved dogs I had ever seen. And I said, that's what I want. How do you get that? So that's what I focused on. And I studied as much as I could. You know, there was no internet. There was none of that. So you do what you can. And the only thing you can do to get better is to work with dogs. And so through trial and error, I was always a light-handed trainer. I used a leash and a flat collar. I didn't use food. I didn't use e-collars. I didn't use prong collars, none of that. I just had a natural knack of it. And if someone was struggling, I'd get a call. Hey, you think you could help this person? So I did it for free for a very long time. And once I started having real success, the phone never stopped ringing. And that's how it started, you know?
Can I ask you, so I just want to shift gears. We'll come back to training, but this is what I notice, and you get the privilege of meeting a lot of young trainers. So I'd say like the demo at a seminar probably changes, but like I'd say 30-40% are young trainers, right?
Maybe more than that. Yeah.
And then people with like, I would say like you have your fans that like love you. Like they have one dog. They just love learning from Larry or Joel or Jay. Yeah. And then some people working spots with like real problem dogs reactivity.
Yeah.
So these young trainers, what I'm noticing. So you have inflation going up. The cost of living, cost of things is expensive. They love dogs. They're having some success. They want to start a dog training business, but it is a business, right? So while you're learning, right, acquiring skills,
Yeah.
Practicing, regardless of what we say, like you're a young trainer, you have to learn, and you have to learn through practice. You could get the theory, but you have to practice. You also have to stay in business long enough where you can practice, right? And I see a lot of young trainers jumping from facility to other facility, just to survive, just to pay the bills.
Sure.
And at these different facilities, they're being taught different methods, right?
Sure.
So they never have enough time for like one method to stick. So it kind of like feels like they're getting squeezed from both sides, cost of living side, and then like always have to shift gears of like what the method is. I actually called you the Morpheus of the dog training space.
I heard that. That was funny. Yeah. Yeah. Sinead's awesome, by the way. Like Sinead's one of those people that just got it. She's phenomenal trainer, like great human being, great trainer. She just
we'll come back to it if you think that a lot of this is natural talent, because I do want to ask you that.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for young trainers? They've been in the game 1, 2, or 3 years, really new in this, and they want to learn.
Oh, you have to go to the right people. I mean, it's that simple. You have to have some kind of mentor, but the right mentor, right? Because the majority of the mentors out there are the wrong people to learn from. When you're bouncing around, like you said, from facility to facility, most facilities have to pay bills. They have to get dogs in and out. They're not really, you're not going to learn how to bring the best out in an animal. It's very rarely going to happen. They're out there, right? But it's tough. So I mentioned before that I know trainers have 10, 12, 13 years in that really think they know everything, and they don't. They do real well with a lot of dogs, and they've helped a lot of people. But there's dogs that are so far above their pay grade because they haven't really learned from someone that is brilliant with that type of dog. But on the flip side, I know trainers that have been training way less than 10 years that are doing brilliant work because they learned from the right people from the start. So with me, after that first trainer I learned from, I focused on that behavioral stuff for probably a good 10 years, 12 years. And then when I started wanting to learn more on the performance side and the sports side and the working dog side, well, there was only 2 or 3 people that I was willing to learn from. That was Bart Ballone, Ivan Balabanoff, and Michael Ellis. It didn't make sense for me to go to anyone less than them. So Bart was coming back to the United States to do his first seminar after many years, and I drove the 14 hours each way to learn from him, and my mind was blown. And I got to see dogs that I didn't know existed. And so I just kept going back to him over and over and over. And even at one point he said, "Why do you keep coming back? You know this." I said, No. You don't understand. I learn something every time. So it was literally years before I ever went to learn from anyone else, because I was still trying to perfect everything I took from him. So I see these young trainers going from seminar to seminar, taking course after course and video after video, and they learn nothing. They perfect nothing because they just got shit. And listen, I was doing it also. I have so many subscriptions, and I learned from so many great people in the IGP world, like the tracking, the obedience to protection. And what I found was I was overwhelming myself by focusing on too many of the great people that I respect. I had to narrow it down. I had to, because it's information overload. It's too much.
And then you make it your own too, or no?
What's that?
You had to make it your own as well?
Oh, I always do. That's just me.
Sure.
I'm never going to.
But that is important, Larry, right? Like as you're learning, it has to be natural to you. It has to be
100%. Perfectly said. Like listen, I'll just use today as an example, right? Sure. Again, I watched 2 of Fabian's videos with puppies tracking from a seminar that I have. And I tracked 3 times today, because the first time after watching my video, there were a lot of things I didn't like. The second time it was better, but there were still a few things I didn't like. The third time I was happy with what I did, but it felt good to me. Like you said, it has to be. Too many trainers today try to emulate some of their heroes in training, right? They start talking like them. They start changing their vocabulary because they use the same words, their mannerisms. You're going to fail when you do that because, for one, you're a fraud. You're not being yourself. You're the only person you could be, right? So you said it perfectly before. I may take something from someone that I learned from, and they may watch it and be like, well, that's not what I do. Yeah, I know. I took the concept, the information, and I made it comfortable for me. I'm not good at doing it exactly the way you did. You know what I mean? That's why having a couple of different trainers that you could learn from can be beneficial also, right? Hey, I love the way this person does all this stuff, but man, when it comes to teaching the front, that's awkward to me. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it. But I love the way so-and-so teaches the front. That's easy for me, right? Because we all have our own personalities and our own quirks and our own physical abilities and disabilities. And so that stuff is really, really important, but people don't pay attention to stuff like that. And it drives me crazy. There's a rhythm in everything you do, right? And like if you watch someone like Nino is a genius at what he does.
Yep.
Because there's a rhythm in what he does with the dog's movement, right? There's a rhythm in everything we do with dogs. It's just some people have no fucking rhythm whatsoever. And it makes
I think Nino's dancing with the stars with the dogs.
Yeah, it really is. Really is, right? So you could shit on what Nino does or you could love what he does, but you can't deny what the dogs are showing you.
They look happy. The dogs look thrilled to do the work.
Incredible. And he's doing that. I'm watching his students with all breeds doing that.
With the Chihuahuas, it's crazy.
So listen, there's something there. You understand what I'm saying? He's fantastic at what he does. Everyone's into the play thing now, right? Most people still don't understand it. They're still not good at it. I've been playing with dogs for a very long time, but I'm still getting better at it. Well, Ivan's the one who put that on the map, right? Everyone had Michael Ellis's tug videos that gave people, but they didn't take it serious enough, right? More and more people started following possession games and chase and catch, and Ivan's school has blown up. So more people are seeing the value of it. So if you see a few of Ivan's students turning dogs around and showing everything, like doing incredible work, and you're still shitting on the value of it, you're an idiot and you're just angry because you're not achieving what they are. I don't care if that trainer's been training for 5 years. He or she is putting out work and showing the work and showing the transformation in dogs that you have not. So if you're not showing that, stop bitching. If you're bitching about somebody getting massive popularity, which seems like overnight, and you're angry at that, you're not angry.
They're not angry about the technique. They're angry about the popularity.
Yes, 100%. Because they think they deserve it. And they think someone that's coming up and new doesn't deserve it. Well, why don't they deserve it, especially if they're doing good work? But listen, it goes back to, yeah, maybe you are a brand new trainer. Maybe you've only been training 2 or 3 years. But if you've made the effort to go learn from the best, you're going to be ahead of someone who's been training for 12 years and learned from none of the greats. And that's just a fact.
Can I give you a theory on this?
Yeah, sure.
And you can push back on this.
Sure.
Because you're talking about the techniques of dog training, right?
Well,
obviously,
not just the techniques, right? Because I'm not a big method and technique guy, right? I'm more about that emotional connection between you and the animal. Sure. The dog will adjust to any technique and method when the emotional connection is there, because these animals are geniuses at lowering themselves to our levels, right? So the dogs don't really even care too much about methods and techniques when the emotional connection is there. When the emotional connection is there, these incredible fucking animals kill themselves to try to make it happen.
So let me clarify that. So all of that, but do you, from what I think that what they see is this trainer who's been training for 5 years. I know the example, but I like how you leave names out because it helps people to understand. he has a wait list of dogs waiting to come for him because he shows the work. So
Yeah.
people in their heads are like, wow, he's probably making a lot of money. And I think I could do that too, but no one's knocking on my door for my training. And I feel like they think that their pockets are hurting. I think it's a financial thing that they see that's huge following, all this attention, and they're equating it with he has that and I don't have the money. I'm not making the income.
Well, I think they're not being honest with themselves either, right? That's your fault if you're there, right? You have to do something different than listen. There was a trainer that I didn't know very well overseas. I won't say where, and I heard some people bad mouthing him because he's gotten massively popular really fast, and his social media is blowing up. So I went to see what he was about, and when I started watching his stuff, I went a little further and watched more stuff. And then I went a little further and I was waiting to see something that I didn't like or disagreed with, and I didn't. He's doing great work. And I agree with so much of what he's doing. Doesn't mean I have to agree or do everything the same. None of us do that, right? But he's doing really, really good work. So he's gotten popular real fast because, yes, he has a great personality. He understands the social media things. But on top of that, he's damn good and knowledgeable with dogs. Why would you hate on someone like that? You're a miserable fuck if you're hating on someone like that. What you should be happy about is that he's able to help a lot of dogs, and the people that learn from him are able to help a lot of dogs. But you're so fucking bitter and angry because other people are getting more popular than you.
How much of this would you say is like, how much of dog training is a natural talent versus a desire to learn?
Oh, I think the best of the best is natural talent. That's just my opinion.
80?
And I think
80%?
I don't know what the percentage would be. Like, I see so many young females at my seminars that have more talent in their one finger than I'll ever have when it comes to natural talent. Like, they're just gifted, especially I tend to separate behavior and obedience in two different areas.
Yeah.
I always have. And I'm much better with behavior than I am with precise obedience. Yes. Much better. Like, I envy some of these young trainers, especially some of the young females I see on the obedience side of things. They're friggin' brilliant. That's natural talent that they have. And then once they learn from some of the best out there, you watch them and you go, holy shit, it's effortless. I don't have that. I don't have that. What I do have is I could take a dog that's pretty damn uncomfortable, no matter what its personality is, and make it pretty comfortable pretty quick. That's one of the things that I'm decent at, right? But when it comes to the flashy obedience, like if you look at my dogs, they have nice obedience. It looks really good, right? But I have to work at that. It's not easy for me. It's getting better. It's getting easier, but it's not easy for me. For some people, it's effortless.
So what I'm hearing is, so there's two sides. There's obedience and behavior. I totally agree. I always tell my clients, put a line down a piece of paper. Behavior is kind of the choices and how you live with the dogs. Obedience is what you ask the dog to do.
Yeah, I think it's 80% behavior.
Yeah. So you have a really good natural predisposition to reading behavior, to understanding the dog, to connecting with the dog, to being fair with the dog, to say, hey, mama, come here. But to being like, hey, come on, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That, and the dog understands that like that. Sure. And then the obedience of like, how do the cadence of the verbal pause, give the dog the opportunity, then help it with the physical, that you needed to learn.
That stuff's easy, right? Because that's just mechanical. And once you pay attention to it, it's easy to obtain that, right? But I just know people that, again, have a natural rhythm, guys and girls, of teaching flashy obedience, clean, beautiful obedience. There's a rhythm that they have that is just effortless. Effortless. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't have that. You know what I mean? But I do know people that do, 100%. So they come to me for behavioral stuff. I go to them for obedience stuff. It works out very nicely.
We're at the hour mark. I want to be respectful of your time. How's Frankie doing?
He's good. He stopped screaming. My wife took him out. Hey, Steph, did he poop? Nah, he's just being an asshole.
How's your day? Is your day better now?
Yeah, it is. And my wife told me it would be once I start talking about dogs. I was having I just wasn't in a good mood. But it seems like when we talk like this, I guess I do really enjoy it. And so I never get done speaking to someone about dogs and where I'm miserable. Now, sometimes I get off some consultations where I'm like, that was brutal. That was hard. But there's other times I get off and my wife's like, man, you sound like you really enjoyed that conversation. I'm like, I really did. They're pretty awesome. Yeah, absolutely. You know?
Well, with the livestock guardian though, that felt unfair, right? Like, just bring the dog. You just come here, bring it here. Let's evaluate. Like,
I wouldn't have charged for that. I wouldn't have charged. You know what I mean?
Give me a chance, right? Like, you've already taken. We've already spent the time. So I get that. Like, you've emotionally invested. You're like, just
and I think when people do that, I think a lot of times their intentions are good. I really do. I don't think they're doing it. I think they're doing it because they think they have to protect people and the safety of people. I totally get it. You know what I mean? It's a massive responsibility. But a lot of times there's something very basic and simple that are causing those behaviors that you're doing. And when you don't have the experience, you're doing something out of the goodness of your heart, thinking you're helping the dog, when in reality, you're not. You're doing the opposite of what you want to do, So a lot of times we could change that very, very quickly.
So since the seminar, the two things that I've come to realize in teaching clients to understand dog behavior the best is the layered stress model and the 4 windows.
Yeah, very important.
Those two, and I'll give you guys the crash course. So like layered stress models kind of and Larry, push back and fill the gaps, but it's to understand dog behavior or misbehavior is typically what they do in pet dog space. To understand misbehavior, health is something out of the ordinary with the dog's health. Fulfillment is the dog genetically fulfilled. Clarity, which is often confused with structure. Jay cleared that up. Clarity is like, does the dog even understand what you want?
Sure.
Leash creates a lot of frustration. And then right above that is the triggers that blow the dog up. So the layered stress model. And then the 4 windows, which is ready. We're about to play together. Free, you could go play and be excited on your own. Enough or okay, you're calm and relaxed. And then the work window, which is kind of like commands that you give the dog.
What I tell people is Jay is a very, very highly intelligent individual, right? And he's a brilliant teacher. Anything that Jay teaches, I take it and dumb it down.
Dumb that down for how you would explain that to the everyday dog.
Yeah. Well, I do. I don't go into, I mean, of course I touch on the layered stress model. Like, for example, if someone calls me for an online consultation and their dog's 5 years old and all of a sudden started attacking people or growling and biting, obviously we have to look at the layered stress model, right? Is there something off with the dog? Is there something physical off with the dog? Is the dog in pain? Is it suffering, right? Was there a traumatic event? Did you move recently? Did you lose your job? Did you go through a divorce? Did something like there? We have to look. It doesn't happen out of nowhere, right? Again, that's just a quick overview of things you have to look at. But then when it comes down to Jay's windows, like, I'm very, very big on pushing markers, and I teach it a little differently, but again, I dumb it down. And so when I ask for 2 videos when I'm doing an online consultation, give me a video, a few minutes long, with your dog on leash, you doing basic obedience, where sometimes you're rewarding with food and sometimes you're not. You're mixing it up. And then give me a video. Again, your dog could have a long line on of you playing tug with your dog a few minutes. And a lot of times people send me a video and there's no leash on the dog. And I say, why is there no leash? Well, he's not going to run off. See, you're assuming that's why I want a leash on there. No, that's not why I want a leash. And I don't care what your dog knows or doesn't know. I'm not watching the dog. I'm watching you, right? What do you do to get the dog to do the things that you want? What do you do when the dog does what you want? What do you do when it doesn't do what you want, right? All of these things, when someone sends those 2 videos properly that I ask for, the amount of changes that you can make in behavioral cases is mind-blowing. And listen, I fought the online stuff forever. I had no interest because I said, I can't help you over the phone. And then the first person that I did it for, he cursed me out, right? He literally said to me, listen, motherfucker. He goes, I've spent over 30 grand in board and trains and my dog's worse than ever. I have nothing to lose. So could you take one fucking session online with me? And I said, fine. But I needed to see what I was dealing with. So I asked for those 2 specific videos. And when he sent those 2 videos, I called him back and said, okay. I said, shit, you're doing everything wrong. And he goes, oh, great. I said, no. That's a good thing. Is it because if you're doing everything right and you have these problems, it makes it a little harder where to start. So once we started identifying where he was going wrong in his handling, he had no language. There was no communication. There was no markers. Everything was off. Nothing was right. What's sad is he paid over 30 grand in board and trains and not one trainer taught him this stuff. And that's because most trainers don't get it, right? So what I told him was this. I said, listen, you can't guarantee anything in dog training. I said, but I'm going to guarantee you this. This 1 hour is going to get you further than your $30,000 got you, or I'll give you your money back. He goes, I believe you. And we did. We really, really got him probably 85 to 90% of where he had to be with the very difficult, very aggressive Rottweiler. Not because I'm training his dog online, because I'm focused on his talents, on the things that he's doing wrong and not doing, right? Once we started changing that, he probably sent me 12, 13, 14 videos over a few weeks. And each time he got better and better. And then once his handling got pretty good, things changed massively. And also the big thing was fulfilling the dog, right? Really giving him something he could do, but also setting rules and boundaries in that interaction. And truly understanding the difference between negative reinforcement and punishment made a massive difference. Massive difference. So when I send him a video that I only send clients, just that explanation was, no one's ever explained any of this to me. I said, I know. I know. Trust me. So it's so important to focus on the human. When I do a private session, I love private sessions because I love the coaching. I rarely touch the dog. I touch the dog when I have to, right? If I have to show something or help, I will. Don't get me wrong. But I need the human to make the mistakes so I can work them through it. And just like the dog, the human cannot be scared to make the mistakes. And I'm going to have a good time with it. And we're going to laugh and I'm going to make fun of you. And we're going to use humor. And we're going to have a good time in the process. Because, again, just like the dogs, when the dog's having a good time, it's going to learn. When the human's having a good time, they're going to learn. Now, does everyone enjoy this? Every now and then you get someone that you know you did wrong by taking them on. It's not someone you want to work with. So I'm very selective who I work with. And almost always, if I'm going to work with you in a board and train or one-on-one, I could almost always tell you within 30 seconds if I'm taking you on or not. And if I know I'm not going to, I just tell people I'm not the guy for you, you know. And sometimes they get a little, well, why not? You know, I'm willing. I said, nah, it won't work out. I'm not the guy for you. And sometimes if I have to make an excuse, I will. And if they live in an area where I could send them to someone that I trust, I will, right? But I will not take on someone that I can't have a decent relationship with. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
So since your seminar, so I run a dog school here where people just bring their dogs during the day, pick them up in the evening. That's most of what I was doing for two and a half years.
Yeah.
And then behavior rehab, but like mostly me handling the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And recently it was really cool because I just out of nowhere, I got a virtual client, right? It was a friend who had a dog here and then they moved to Washington and then they adopted a Malinois. So the Dutch Shepherd, a Black Lab, and they just got a Malinois. And do you think the Malinois was reactive? Definitely. Cool dog. So having to coach virtually has made me a better trainer.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. For sure.
It makes you think and really question and distill down what you believe and how you explain it. Because you can't be there to be like, let me show you. Yeah. You have to really distill it. I'm like, this is really cool. I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
I hope I'm helping you. You're my buddy. I'll spend as much time as I need. Yeah. Thank you for being like, this is awesome for me. And I recorded all the sessions, all the virtual calls, and they're online.
Nice.
And I'll probably look at them in 3 years and be like, dude, you're such an idiot, Andrew. You could have been so much more clear on this point and this point. And you gave them too much information at once. But it's made me a better trainer. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. The first thing I started with was a negative reinforcement marker, which is a negative reinforcement and a release command was the first thing in the house. Just putting the mal on like a place or an elevated surface. If it breaks, gently putting them back, and then upping the ante with maybe throwing a ball or playing with a dog in front, the other dog in front of them, and holding them there. And just that little bit has helped them communicate better with their dog.
Well, that's usually the main issue, right? There is no communication.
None.
Right. And so what I do for a lot of clients is like they'll send me the videos through WhatsApp. And then especially when it's a more difficult case or it's just a good opportunity to do, I'll transfer them onto my iPad, those videos. And after I watch them, I'll talk to them and we'll go through the video together. And then you could break it down and go in slow motion. Right. And you could pay attention to the dog. Look at the dog right here. What's it telling you? Look at the body language. Look at the eyes. Look what it's doing, right? What are you doing here? Look, let's go real slow. Look what you did here. Makes no sense to the dog. You're telling the dog one thing and you're doing another. And when they watch it, they go, oh my God, I had no idea I was doing that. Like, I know that's all of us. Because I'll say it till the day I die. In my opinion, my useless opinion, changing the human habit is the hardest thing in all of dog training. Right. And we have to change our bad habits that make sense to us as the two-legged creature, but to the four-legged creature makes no sense whatsoever.
Which is typically louder and harder is kind of what you know.
Louder, harder. We do everything at the same time. We make one big blurry picture for the dog and we're not very clear and consistent. So the one thing that I've done with Frankie, a little different than all my dogs, and I do think it's going to pay off big time, I've tried to be very clear with him in our constant interaction. Everything, all the little things, like super, super clear with him.
The yes marker, right, is like your thing. Like you always bring up the example of the yes marker.
All my markers, all my markers. But, I've never had to use punishment on a puppy so much in my life. Like he understands what no is very, very well because he gave me so many opportunities. But the reason I never have to be physical with my dogs, and when I say never, I mean never, is because when they're puppies, when it's easy, I make it very clear. I don't like when you do that. That's unacceptable because it's easy when they're puppies. You don't have to do much. Now with him, yeah, he'd fight back and just come back at me and not give a damn. He's scared of nothing. So he really challenged me and pushed me, but he learns also, right? Because here's the thing. When we make sense to the animal, I don't care what breed it is, what dog it is, what age it is, they all learn. It's Mother Nature. They learn when we make sense to them. The problem is most humans, most dog owners, most dog trainers don't make sense to the animal. And we make things so much more complicated. If you didn't want to take any of the big name courses out there, if you didn't want to learn from any of the greats, you didn't want to learn how to do high level obedience, if you just became a master at the simple basic foundation of dog training, you'd be fine. You'd have a great dog. You'd have a great dog. It's not that complicated.
Which is yes and no.
Does your dog know the things that you want it to do, the things that you like it to do? Does the dog know what you find unacceptable and don't like it to do? Does your dog come to you in any situation when you call it? And could the dog be still when you need it to be still and not be an asshole? It's not complicated, right? It's not complicated. But I listen to dog trainers talk. I see shit they post on Facebook and they're talking about frontal cortexes and shut the fuck up. No one gives a fuck about your big words and your science. You're just looking for attention and no one cares. My wife's telling me to calm down. Okay? No one cares. You're looking for attention. You're not helping one.
What was her negative reinforcement marker for you there? A look?
She stepped in here and went.
Spatial pressure with a Q.
Yeah, because I get fired up about this stuff because listen, I've done plenty on social media, right? And I'm sure I've been guilty of many things at times over the years, but I could wholeheartedly say the majority of stuff I put out, first of all, I don't sugarcoat, I put everything out there. Funny stuff, like who I am in real life. I get a lot of shit for not having a business page. Everything goes on one page. And so that's why a lot of times when people meet me for the first time in a seminar, they're like, holy shit, you're just like you are online. Well, why wouldn't I be? Like, I'm not trying to be someone I'm not, right? But when you get someone who wants to talk all sciencey and write these big articles and go into these discussions about the brain and this and that, dog owners don't give a shit about that stuff. You're not benefiting anyone. You're just not. And I know for some people that's not a popular statement, but I never say anything to be popular. I don't care. How about we just take the average dog owner and teach them how to make their dog better, how to make their lives better. If you put more effort into that and less effort into looking for, attention on social media for one subject or another, you'd help a lot more people. But that's the thing I hate about social media. There's a lot of great things about it, but I hate that part where it's that, and I truly believe it's an addiction for a lot of dog trainers out there. They need that attention daily for one thing or another.
Validation. And then like, who are you speaking to are you speaking to dog owners or dog trainers? So I'm pushed back on this. But I do think there is, so I get a lot of dogs that are 8 or 9 months old that have been trained purely positive, and they've never had what I call little bits of stress in a controlled environment. Sure. So like their nervous system is very weak is how I would explain that. So like if I would walk them through like an obstacle course or make them jump up on a picnic table or make them jump on a Bosu ball, you see these dogs that have never had any little bits of pressure. We're not talking about a lot of pressure. We're talking little bits of pressure. They freak out on the leash. Have you seen this before, Larry?
Of course, everyone has.
So we say this like, you have your kids, you want to put them through controlled stress, right? So the dog owners do understand that because they send their kid to karate. They send their kid to boxing. They want their kid to do extra suicides at basketball. So they do understand that concept for the human, but then they baby their dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, humans are very selfish, and I don't know if I talked about this in Nashville, Andrew, because sometimes I try not to, because I always wind up getting upset and breaking down.
You're so funny.
But I talked about a previous seminar where I judged someone very quickly and didn't like them right from the start.
What, like they walked in?
No. It was. I've talked about it at most seminars, but I try not to because I literally don't make it through without breaking down and getting upset. I judge someone very quickly for being difficult, but to make it short, there was a massive, brutal reason why they were the way they were. You know what I mean? And for one, what you're talking about, there is no living organism that gets through life without stress. You can't do it. And when you don't prepare the dog for the real world and stress, you don't give a shit about the dog. You give a shit about your ideology. There's a lot of scumbag piece of shits out there on the force-free side that I don't care if that's how you choose to train. I don't care. I have no issue with you, right? What I have an issue with are the scumbags out there that make up lies and attack people that don't think the way they do and train and have never shown a dog in their life. There's people out there that get by that are very popular on the force-free side because they're well-spoken and they're easy to like. But then they're doing seminars with fake fucking dogs. Okay? And people don't hold them accountable because they're likable and they're well-spoken. They're opposite of me. They're not going to speak the way I do. They're not going to look the way I do. They're easy to like, and they use fake dogs and have never shown work with the real dog, but yet people give them a pass. And then when someone goes after them by name, that person who goes after them deals with the wrath of shit. Well, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. You understand? They're not wrong. Because if you're going to make money from people and charge a fortune from people and travel the world doing seminars, you better show some damn work with the live breathing animal. Show the work with the subject that you're talking about, not a fucking stuffed animal. Like, that's bullshit, right? If you need to use a stuffed animal, I don't know if there's ever a reason maybe to show where to put a new type of collar or something. I don't know, right?
Is that pronounced? Is that like a lot of people do that? Do people go fully to these seminars?
Yes. And that's very big in the force-free side with some of the bigger names, right? That's
for behavior modification?
Yes.
That's
aggression
crazy.
In particular. That's fraud. That's fraud.
With a stuffed animal?
Yes. So you could speak highly intelligent. You could talk about all the letters behind your names. You could be likable, and you may be a great person, right? Maybe we'd get along really great. But I can't respect someone that makes a lot of money off a subject like aggression, and there's not one video in existence of you actually showing work with an aggressive dog. That's fraud. That's what that is to me. You understand? But people like personalities. And again, some people can get away with things just because of who they are and what their personality is like. Soft-spoken, speaks highly educated, likable, you understand? And then you get someone that comes into me and I say things like, use guys and go fuck yourself and this and that. And they're like, oh, this guy's just a gorilla. He's just a meathead. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there'll be plenty of people that don't like me. I dare you to find a dog that doesn't like me. You never will. Ever. You will never, ever find a dog that doesn't like. No, I shouldn't say that. My buddy Rob, his Malinois doesn't like me, but I didn't work with that dog, so it doesn't count. You know.
Is it to start showing more work? Is it, or is like the takeaway young trainers, like if you're good, if you showing more work?
Listen,
Larry, you're good, dude. It's like your life is great. Would you agree? Like, you don't. If you put social media aside, you were never on social media again, you'd be the happiest person ever.
I'd probably be a lot happier.
Yeah,
absolutely, right. So,
and social media is not even real.
Let's look at the e-collar debate, right, Andrew?
I was going to ask you that.
Right, there's always this big battle between the force-free and the balance side. How could we? And everyone puts these petitions and all of. Listen, fuck your petitions. I don't sign your petitions, not because I don't care about the subject, but here's why I don't sign your petitions. You all talk a lot of shit and put out these petitions and all want to come together when they're trying to ban the tool. But then I look at the people putting out these petitions. Where's your work? You want to keep our tools? Show more work. Just show the work. It's that simple. It's not rocket science. Just show the work. So you don't have to agree with how I train. You don't have to like how I train, but you'll never be able to accuse me of not showing the work, because I've shown it for 17, 18 years that I'm on social media. Good, ugly, sloppy, and you could see how it's evolved over the years, because if you're training the same way today than you were 10 years ago, there's a problem, right? There's a problem. You have to evolve and get better. But I've always shown the work. So when these people want to come out with their petitions and protect the e-collar and start all these big programs and this and that, I have no interest in it, because I guess it's a sore subject, because years ago, Andrew, and most people won't remember this because most people are too young to go back social media that far.
Sure.
Years ago, I started showing a shitload of e-collar stuff, especially like first and second sessions and introductions to fearful dogs and all this shit, because I had seen so many dogs that were getting destroyed by the tool. And what I said was, we're going to lose this tool if we don't do something, if we don't make changes. And people laughed at me when it came to losing the tool. I'm not Nostradamus. You understand what I'm saying? It was obvious to me, if I'm seeing so many dogs that shiver when you put that collar on and just tuck everything down and are paralyzed with fear, there's a problem. Like, we're going to lose the tool. And people laughed at me. So when you come out with your petitions now, fuck you. Fuck you.
You really think that the tool in America? So this is what happens. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, in Belgium they banned crates,
Yeah.
and then Sweden. I'm making these up. I have no idea, but like Sweden, they stopped. You really think in this country where we have a Second Amendment, they're gonna take away e-collars?
Well, they try, right? They're going to try. And here's the thing, Andrew.
They try to have a vaccine passport for everybody too.
Here's the thing. When they are successful in parts of Europe with this, then we usually follow, right? I've done seminars in Australia where it was banned. I've done seminars in Europe where it was banned. And it's a whole different world. And what happens when you ban these tools, it just goes underground and becomes worse. You understand? But they've tried here many times and failed. But that doesn't mean they eventually won't be successful, because here's the thing. If you take these lunatics on the left side of dog training, let's say, right, these radicals, and you ask the general public, which is where the massive numbers are, okay? And that's what a lot of dog trainers that want to argue things don't understand. The massive numbers are in the pet dog world, the owners, not the trainers. But trainers are so egotistical, they want to market to each other. And where the numbers matter is the everyday dog owner. You take someone like Zach George, and he goes to interview regular dog owners and say, do you think e-collars should be banned? And then he pulls up some videos of people like fucking Jeff Gelman and Sean O'Shea and all these trainers that just fucking crush dogs and shouldn't be training dogs in the first place, right? Every single person that he approaches and go, oh my God, yes, that's a brutal tool. Not thinking, it's not a brutal tool, it's a brutal asshole at the end of that tool. You understand? So there's always going to be risk in losing that tool. And so years ago, when I started coming out and speaking against people like that, I got all kinds of hate, because now I'm looking for attention. I'm jealous of their popularity and I want to take their business. No, fuck you. I'm seeing what they're doing to animals, and they're teaching other people how to do that to animals, right? But again, these are things that people forget. They just see an opinionated loudmouth when they see me, but they forget how long I've been speaking about this shit. So when someone, even that I like and respect, says they've never seen fallout from an e-collar, you're fucking out of your mind, because I haven't seen 10 dogs or a dozen dogs. I've seen hundreds of dogs that have been destroyed with the tool.
So Larry, I've had quite a few actually come here with that problem.
Sure.
Tell me if this is how you would handle it. So to me, this is how I interpret it. So the issue there isn't the e-collar, it's the confusion of how that dog will escape the pressure. It doesn't understand why it's getting hit with such high levels of pressure.
Here's the thing.
Andrew. Is that accurate or inaccurate?
It's partly accurate.
Okay.
A lot of the people that are destroying the dogs with electric stimulation don't know how to use a leash.
Sure.
They don't know how to use food. They don't know how to use a tug, right? Using an e-collar is no different than using a leash. Negative reinforcement is negative reinforcement. But if you don't understand learning theory, if you don't understand how dogs learn in general without the e-collar, right? Listen, if you're a halfway skilled trainer, if you're a good trainer, that tool can exaggerate your ability. If you're a shitty trainer, the dog's going to pay the price every time. Right.
So in this scenario I'm talking about is the dog would be glued to a place bed, and then if it got off, or even like some trainers have like this double down with their head to teach dogs to relax.
Yeah.
It would get hit with the e-collar. It wouldn't even have to be such a high level, but like, and the dog doesn't understand where the pressure
has no clue. There's no clarity there.
There's no clarity.
It's fucking stupidity. That's all it is. It's stupidity. You know, this whole.
But don't you think we need to educate the dog trainers that believe in the e-collar to explain that to clients?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. If you listen to most dog trainers, right, man, we can go on for hours just about this, because I've done it all and seen it all and talked about it all. I can't tell you, and I have highly driven dogs, right? So you can go back into the whole debate, whether to condition or not condition, all this stuff, low level stuff, you know, or not.
Ivan, turn the comments back on.
Eve, here's the thing. both sides never tell the whole story, right? The problem is people aren't honest because they don't really understand the tool itself, because they don't understand the dog itself. So then you get someone trying to utilize low-level e-collar stuff, right? They do all the conditioning, all this stuff, and they stay on that forever. And then the dog's doing well in their backyard or their front yard, and they go to a park, and the dog takes off after another dog or a rabbit, and they try to utilize that low-level stuff the same way they did in the yard, and the dog fails miserably. And they say, oh, that low-level stuff doesn't work. Well, of course it doesn't, because you took just one part of it and completely destroyed it. And then you take the anti-low level stuff and just the no conditioning stuff and right to aversives, which again isn't wrong when you understand how to train a dog. And then you get the dog off leash, and that same scenario, the dog takes off and you hammer it on a high level without any preparation. And you think the dog's supposed to know, oh, let me stop chasing this and come back to you.
But why don't we teach more about conditioned punishers?
Well, people do. Some people do.
You feel like they do? I feel like I don't see a lot of conditioned
Some
punishers.
people do. Very few. So here's the thing.
I think it's gate kept behind a really expensive course.
Well, okay. So you're talking about TWC, right? Which I've taken. Okay. So here's the thing.
They're good trainers for a reason.
So here's the thing. When it comes to behavior, there is nothing that Ivan does or teaches that I could disagree with. And he's brilliant with behavior. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. In my opinion, he's better with behavior than he is on the sport dog side. And that's high praise.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to be honest. Always going to be honest. And so even if you go back to our podcast where the only thing I disagree with is with the e-collar stuff and not conditioning, but I still don't think he's wrong from what he's saying on his end. Where I disagree with, and this is what I told him, you're coming from the aspect of someone who understands dogs and can train a dog.
Yeah.
The majority of the people that are going to use this tool don't know how to do a fucking thing. And when they try to turn to this tool just as an aversive, the dog's going to pay the price. The same way dogs have failed since the late 1950s, early 1960s. Because people just assume it's a magic wand, and you hit that button and the dog understands what to do, right?
Larry, I just had a bird dog trainer on. He's 15 minutes away, canine trainer. So like, that school of like training.
Yeah.
I disagreed with him on a ton of things. Like specifically, dogs just should be neutral animals in every social setting. We disagreed on a lot. But then we went bird dog training, and he talks about that very thing. The dogs just get drilled on e-collars.
Yeah. Yeah. I work with a lot of bird dogs and a lot of bird dog trainers. I do. And a lot of it's so antiquated, it's not even funny. So this is what I tell people. When people come to me and want to do e-collar work, I give them an option. Do you want to do it this way, or you want to do it this way? I'm okay either way. I'm going to give you success either way, however you want to do it. Right. But then if you're going to learn, if you're going to take someone's word from it, you go learn how Ivan does it. Learn how Michael Ellis does it, which is the opposite. Learn how Bart Ballone does it. Learn how Pat Nolan does it. Keep me out of it. Okay. I don't want to say in it.
I'll step in when I feel needed.
Yeah. And then you decide what you're comfortable with and how you could be successful.
Can I tell you guys how Michael Ellis conditions a Punisher? He just uses a crate door for dogs that bolt out. So he conditions no with a crate door. Isn't that a really easy way to condition a Punisher?
Michael does things very simple, very beneficial for the everyday dog trainer. Like, and I've always said this, I think Michael is done more for pet dog trainers than most people ever give him credit for, right? If you take the big three, if you take, and I only say this because there's many more than this, don't get me wrong, but the average dog trainer, they don't know the big names in the sport dog world and all over the world. They know Bart Ballone, Ivan Balabanoff, and Michael Ellis, right? All three train differently. So
Somewhat.
when you no, very differently in many areas. Okay. So let's just use the e-collar,
Sure.
right? Very differently. Ivan and Michael Ellis, completely different. Okay. I train the e-collar the way Michael Ellis does. And I went to work with him personally 15 years ago when it came to the e-collar stuff. The reason I train with the e-collar the way I do is a lot because of Michael. My first introduction where I changed things was because of Bart and also because of Michael. Right. So if you want to shit on the way I do it, that's fine. But I've proven very successful with it. Like all over the world, not just in person, but from the people that have learned from me through my book, through my videos, whatever, tens of thousands of people. Okay. But again, I'm focused on the everyday dog owner. You could have success training it the way Ivan uses it, the way Bart uses it, the way Michael uses it, as long as you're good at training dogs. But people want to jump to using that tool and they can't fucking train a dog how to sit with a piece of food. But yet you want to use electronics. That's the problem. Not the way you're using the e-collar, the fact that you know nothing about how to communicate with an animal, and now you're putting electricity on its neck and think you're going to have success. I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that. So I could take a dog, and if you look at my sit, stay, learn video for the e-collar video, it's the first one I did. I purposely found a dog that had no food drive. I purposely found a dog that had no play drive. I didn't want to have a dog for the video that was going to make me look good. I wanted the opposite because I'm honest with this stuff. That was shot over 3 days. We did 6 total sessions, 2 a day, 2 short sessions a day. One of those sessions I did in an area I shouldn't have on purpose to show what happens when you push the dog where you shouldn't. The last session, we take the dog to a new park, strange park, and let the dog off leash. And it's the first time you see that dog run full speed and loving life. And then you see me recall that dog, and that dog comes flying with everything it has. And someone said, yeah, but you didn't use the e-collar. And I said, that's the point. That's the whole point. That was 2 short sessions, a few minutes long each day. By day 3, that dog's completely off leash in public. That's any dog. That's any dog. Now, I've always been more conservative over the years because the average dog owner is not going to be able to achieve what I could achieve with the dog. I know that. So that's always the way my mind works. And maybe I've been overly conservative, but I'd rather be overly conservative than have someone go out and do things and just completely destroy the dog, because I've seen that too many times.
We focus so much on tools in this industry. So I want to ask it this way. Like,
yeah,
if you could teach a dog how to be reliable off leash and to be calm inside the house, what percentage of dog problems would you solve?
95.
95. Amazing.
That's it.
So if you could teach a dog to be reliable off leash and calm in the house, you'll solve 95% of problems.
Yeah, I don't know what the percentage is, but that's the majority of. And listen, for years,
that needs to be the messaging, though, Larry.
Yes,
that needs to be the messaging. It doesn't need to be e-collar, high level, low level, this or that. You can punish a dog for not recalling. You could negatively reinforce a dog for recalling, or you could just recall it.
Andrew, that's why I post videos of me laying on the ground with my puppy, wrestling, having a good time.
It's everything.
Because that's everything. You understand? That's where the success comes from. So I don't have success with the dog because of the tool. I have success with the tool because of what I do with the dog. People have everything reversed when it comes to dog training, right? If you send your dog to me, no matter how standoffish and insecure and suspicious that dog is, give me a few days, that dog is going to think I'm a pretty cool guy. And there has nothing to do with any tool, not a leash, not an e-collar, not a piece of food. It's the sincere interaction between me and that animal. Some dogs are going to be more difficult than others, sure, right?
Do you believe dogs are stubborn?
I think certain breeds could be more difficult, and they are more difficult. Like, listen, if you compare a chow or a Basenji, or any kind of breed like that, a Sighthound, or to a Border Collie or a Malinois or a Shepherd. Yeah, there's massive difference. You know
That's
what I
what they
mean?
call biddability, right?
Yeah, totally. Some dogs are much more trainable than others, and genetics are very, very important. You tell me you want to send me a Shar Pei for a board and train, I'm not going to be excited. I don't like them. I don't like them. You know
I
what
have
I
your
mean?
favorite breed right next to me. Larry also hates Pyrenees.
No, I love Great Pyrenees, but I don't even mind working with them if you know what you have. Listen, one of the most important things a client ever said to me, this melted me. I had a client that rescued a Great Pyrenees. They live in a very affluent neighborhood in Nashville, not out on a farm or nothing. I begged them not to. They did it
Big
anyway.
house, no lot.
No, tremendous house and decent property. No, big piece of property, like very well off people, right? I begged them not to. They got it anyway. Well, they hit the jackpot.
It's a good dog.
And this dog, they had two little dogs, which I think gave this dog something to do. And then they had chickens. So also fancy chickens, not your typical chickens, right? And this dog was amazing. And I worked with this dog. I trained this dog, but I assured them this dog's not going to look like the German Shepherd that I trained down the street. And then one day, the wife said to me, this was the greatest thing ever. She goes, "Do you want to know why we've had so much success with this dog and why we're so happy?" I said, "Why is that?" She said, "You were very clear about the expectations, what to expect with her. And that made a lot of sense to us." That's like one of the greatest things.
What did you say?
I was honest what the dog is, and I made it simple. It's not going to look like your German Shepherd down the street that I trained, right? So our goal is to make this dog doesn't have bad habits. It doesn't run away. It doesn't go after animals, right? It lives well in the home. Like, we just make it a well-behaved dog. The obedience isn't going to be fast, but they're very intelligent people, and that made sense to them. Okay, so I can almost guarantee you they started studying the breed more and reading up on it. Go, oh, okay, yeah. Now, when that dog passed away, they got another one, and that dog wasn't the same. They hit the jackpot with the first one. You know what I mean? But they still give that dog a good enough life to where it could function in society. You know what I mean? But when it comes to guardian breeds, they're different. They're very different. I've worked with Turkish Kangals before that are the most serious dogs I've ever seen in my life. And I know the breed very well. And the reason I've trained them is because I do know the breed. So people have brought them to me from all over the country. But I'm very clear on expectations. You know what I mean? So that's it. But yes, if we could simplify things and stop worrying about methods and techniques and tools, and understand how to sincerely connect with the dog. Listen, my grandparents weren't dog trainers. They always had German Shepherds. We can go for walks in a very busy area of New Jersey. The dogs were off leash. There were no place boards. Place wasn't a command. None of that stuff. They ate with my grandparents ate. They had their own ice cream in the freezer. No issues, right? They were just part of the family and understood how to live with my grandparents. There was no dog training. But today, we have softened everything so much and just humanized these animals to a point where they can't be who they are anymore. And that has destroyed them. It has absolutely crushed them. And I deal with it every day. And sometimes it upsets me very much. You can't have a Rottweiler and leave it loose outside your house without a fenced yard. It's a problem. It's going to bite someone. You understand what I'm saying?
That's so. I was gonna ask, can you give me like your 3 or 5 favorite breeds? Is Roddy still number one?
Roddy's number one. Like there's not even close. Like that's
Do you
my
think
heart.
you would describe your personality as a Roddy?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
A little goofy but intense.
Yeah. Probably. I never thought of it like that, but you're probably right, Andrew. Yeah, that's my heart and soul. I love Kangals. I love Anatolian Shepherds and Kangals. I'll make
What do
them
you
the
love
same
about them?
breed. Oh man, they're just so majestic and so genetically driven to do what they were bred to do, and so powerful. I've had the unfortunate of experience due to my last job to go pretty deep in a case that was an international dogfighting case because there was involved with a lot of other international crimes involved with it. But the way they do dogfighting overseas isn't like here where it's pit bull and pit bull. Overseas in the Middle East, especially, it's all the powerful breeds against each other. Anyone that wants to argue that a Turkish Kangol isn't by far the most powerful, ferocious dog on the face of the earth, trust me, you're wrong. And I have firsthand experience with that. I love a good German Shepherd. I love a good working line Shepherd. You know, of course, I love Malinois. That's why I have them. But, you know, there are certain things I don't like about the Malinois, too. I love Mastiffs, different Mastiff breeds. I love Corsos. I love English Mastiffs and Bull Mastiffs. You know, I like a lot of breeds. I was never a small dog guy. After I got my wife, Benny, that little Chihuahua, I'll never be without one. I'll never be without one. You know, they're just amazing. I love a good American Bulldog. I could easily have an American Bulldog. If I stopped with the sport dog type of dogs, it'd be Rottweiler or American Bulldog for sure. My buddy Daniel up in Canada, he has some of the nicest bulldogs I've seen. Man, it makes me want one so bad.
I knew you wouldn't have a Labrador Retriever.
I love labs and I love golden retrievers, you know, like I really love golden retrievers, but I hate long-haired dogs. I don't like all the hair, you know, I just don't. Shepherds are so amazing. I could deal with the hair, but I still hate that about them.
How did you end up getting a doodle?
Buddy is 12. So my daughter was 8 and that's what she wanted for Christmas. And
you're a good man.
My wife said, don't do it. And I said, if that's what
your wife said, don't do it. She didn't want a doodle?
Nope. And I said, if that's what my little girl wants, that's what I'm getting, you know? And he's a great dog, but I would never have another one, you know?
I'm here. I'm in Boca Raton. So like big houses, not a lot of property, but like half my dogs are doodles. And I'll tell you, really so hit or miss.
Yes.
I partially think that I'm so against early spay and neuter now that I've seen so many dogs. Yeah. Like I understand the physical side. I'm starting to question the confidence and the mental side too.
Oh, it's massive. That's not even a question. It's massive. Yeah. I think it's even more so than the physical negativity that comes with it. It's massive, especially in certain breeds. Like I can make a living just off of German Shepherds. Like I could say I'm only training Shepherds and stay financially stable. I don't think there's a dog that struggles more when it's early neutered than a German Shepherd. And not only physically, but emotionally and mentally, they get destroyed, just destroyed. My wife just said, like, you need to write a book or do a video just on Shepherds because now she handles all the admin stuff and she sees it. She's like, oh my God, it's like Shepherd after Shepherd after Shepherd. I'm like, I know. I've been saying that for years, you know?
I think we need more content like that in this space. Not
for sure.
With tools like, here's my 25 years of experience. Here's a problem I'm seeing, and here's how I've seen it affect this breed. I think that's so much more appealing than like force-free versus balance is kind of played out. It's boring.
Listen, when my dog training heroes, which they don't do much, would talk about an off topic like that, like, I don't know, how they feed their dogs, what they feed their dog, what they do. That's when I'd be like, oh, that's what I want to know, right? All the little things that we don't discuss. Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Larry, you've been a pleasure. I got to tell you, I don't know how people do 4-hour podcasts. If I have Ivan on one day, I'm going to ask him because it's incredible. Like that, he's a physical specimen. Yeah. I keep mine to 90 minutes. We've gone over a little bit. I just want to say thank you to you. I knew this would be great. It's Sunday night. You know, you had a long day. You have a puppy. Thank you for being so generous with your time.
No, I appreciate you, buddy. I appreciate you having me. You know, listen, one day no one will want to talk to me anymore. And then I'll be like, wow, I wish I didn't ever bitch and complain about that. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. That's the cycle of life. You know, I'll have absolutely no say in this world anymore when it comes to dog training. But as long as people are still interested in talking to me, I should never take that for granted. And sometimes I do. You know, I'm human. I do that sometimes, but I try not to. But you made me have a better day. So I had a good time, Andrew.
I have one more thing, and I think this is your true calling. If you weren't a dog trainer, this is what you would be. And I wrote it down here. When I asked my clients to send videos, and then you said you recap those videos with them. I think you would have been a very high-level basketball coach.
Oh man, that is true to my heart and soul. Like I do love that, and I love coaching kids for sure. And I must do a pretty good job because parents used to kind of fight to have their kid on my team. And I was lucky enough, like 3 years in a row at a draft for a youth basketball league. I got the #1 pick 3 years in a row. And 3 years in a row, I never picked a kid that was any good as my #1 pick. And the coaches used to be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is a good kid and he has good parents. And that's what I want to deal with. I don't want to deal with a kid who's a pain in the ass but talented, and I don't like the parents. I want these kids to enjoy it. You know what I mean? So that's cool. I like that. I've never had.
I'll tell you why, because I wrote this down, and most people will think of these as opposites. This is, I think, your gift. So you have a huge heart, so you have a lot of love to give, and belief. I think of love as like belief, right? But then you also have a really high standard of accountability. Yeah, and I think that's what's needed.
Thanks, Andrew. I like that. I appreciate that very much. It's pretty cool. You know, one day I'm hoping to have the time where I could do that because it is something I love very much, and I just don't get the time to do it anymore.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks, Andrew. Have a good night, pal.